Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going?
We're doing excellent. I mean, it's hard to not be excellent when it's Super Bowl week. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm right there with you.
So we have to dive right into the hard-hitting topics of the day. We have had feverish wide receiver debates on this show, and we need your expertise and credibility here. Is the most of us will tell you that Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver of all time. We may or may not have somebody on the show that you've already spoken to on the phone who feverishly believes Randy Moss is the greatest wide receiver of all time. Where do you fall in all of this?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one. I would have to say I'm a Jerry Rice fan. Jerry played in about my last 3 or 4 or 5 years in the league, and so I got to watch him firsthand. And I just think that I think even the numbers bear this out, that he would be considered the greatest receiver of all time.
What was the conversation between you and Jerry when he played for Seattle for a stint and they unretired your number? What was the one that made you say, "Okay, I'm cool with this"?
That's a good question. What happened was the guy that was the general manager at the time of the team, the president of the team, he called me and said, "Hey, Steve, we've just traded for Jerry Rice. We picked up Jerry Rice, and he really wants to wear your jersey. And we want to ask you, because your jersey's retired, we want to ask you if you thought that would be okay." And I said, "Yeah, that's fine. I think that's great." And so he goes, "Okay, good. I just want to call and ask you first because he really wants to wear your jersey." So I ended up calling Jerry, and he said no. He said, "They asked me to wear your jersey, and I didn't. I was going to just take another number."
Oh.
And they said, "No, we think we can get Largent to give you his jersey instead, so you'll be number 80 up here too." And so it was really a scam that the general manager did on me to get Jerry to wear my jersey. Jerry wasn't in on it. I wasn't in on it. It was totally his fabrication. But at the end of the day, Jerry ended up wearing my jersey, and it really wasn't a big deal.
Do you think there's any chance that's the true origination of fake news?
Yeah, I think it could very well be.
All right, former Hall of Famer.
Always Hall of Famer.
Former Hall of Famer, former Congressman Steve Largent joining us. Here's your hard-hitting question, Steve. What's more challenging, getting open against a guy like Darrell Green or having a Republican and Democrat agree on something?
I would say right now that it's harder to get Republicans and Democrats to agree on anything. It's crazy back there in Washington. And, I lived in Washington for about 11 or 12 years after I was in Congress. And so I really got a firsthand view. I mean, beyond serving 8 years in Congress as a representative, I got a firsthand view of what that's really like. And it's really the system has broken down for sure. And it's not one party's fault. It's both parties' fault. And it's really a shame. I'm really disappointed in the quality of representation we have now in the House and in the Senate. Maybe less so in the Senate, but certainly in the House. And it's really a shame that it's gotten to this point.
What was it that, going back, like after you retired and everything, did you always know like someday politics is going to happen, or what like kind of made it more, I guess, urgent when you decided to run for Congress?
Politics was the last thing on my list, but my wife said, "You really got to run for Congress." And so I listened to her,
Smart,
I think she was right. But I did not want to run for Congress. It was, like I said, it was the last thing on my list of to-dos. And yet, I did run at my wife's request. And I think it was a good thing. I think I had a great experience. I mean, I know I had a great experience the 8 years I was in Congress. And I learned a lot about our country. I learned a lot about the founding fathers and the founding documents that they left us. And I can also see how it came to where it is today. So it was really an overall good experience for me, and I loved it. But I'm glad I'm not there now.
Can you confirm the rumor that we have been told that while you were in Congress, you may or may not have been named to People Magazine's list of most beautiful people? Is that, in fact, factually accurate?
That is factually accurate, and I don't know how in the world I ever got on that list, but I did. I don't share that with very many people, so...
Who did, when you found that out, who did you call first and say, hey, did you see this?
I think I called my wife first.
Told her congratulations.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I told her, congratulations, you're married to one of the people's most beautiful people.
Now, we talked
She said, carry out the trash, will you?
Right. You got to stay humble. It's important to stay humble. Now, when you retired, because we talked about the best wide receiver of all time, I know this is difficult and you want to be humble and everything like that, but where do you think that you fall in that pantheon? I know the game has changed and opened up passing statistics more, but when you retired, most receptions, most yards, most touchdowns, everything like that, where do you think you fall in that wide receiver hierarchy?
I think I would be in the top 5, but the game has changed a lot. And I say all the time, I wish I was playing now instead of when I played. But I wouldn't trade my career for anything. They just throw the ball so much more today. And I love watching the game more today than ever before because I like to see them throwing the ball around. And that's what I enjoyed about the game when I played. But I don't have any hesitation or reservations about saying that I'd like to play in this era of throwing the ball, but I loved the era that I played in, and I played against a lot of great players, some of the greatest players that played the game. I think I played against, and then. And I had some great teammates, and so I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I would love to play in this era because they throw the ball so much more.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to make a trade here right now. You get the chance.
Oh.
You get the chance to play in this era, and you were a guy that could catch from any quarterback, right-hander, left-hander. It didn't matter. You could catch everything. You get a choice between playing with Mahomes and playing with Tom Brady in this Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Which quarterback do you, as a receiver, want to be with?
Man, that's tough. I think I would say Tom Brady, just because I have so much respect for him and the way he plays the game and the way he prepares himself and prepares his team. He throws the ball well. And he's just a proven winner, no doubt about it. And so I would like to be associated with him in some way, and playing in a Super Bowl with Tom Brady would be a great way. But Patrick Mahomes is kind of one of those guys that he can do it all. And I was really sad to see him get banged up a little bit in the last game, but glad to hear that he's doing better. And I don't think it's going to bother him in this game for sure. But Patrick Mahomes he's a real competitor, and he can throw the ball from any position. He can throw it rolling out, or he can throw it dropping back. But he's the same kind of he's a winner, just like Tom Brady's a winner.
What are you, aside from everyone's getting excited for the game, what are you working on during the week leading up to the Super Bowl?
What am I doing specifically to get ready for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, or are you hyping up stuff for?
I actually have some plans.
Nice.
So I am leaving Tulsa, Oklahoma, and flying to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'm meeting Jim Zorn. and we're staying at a friend's house that's right across the street from the golf tournament that's taking place in Phoenix. Let's see, that starts Thursday,
Right.
and so and Jim's got tickets to that golf tournament, so we're going to go watch some golf being played. Then we're going to play some golf, and then we're going to stay at Pete's house. That's who we stay with. We're going to Pete's house, and we're going to watch the Super Bowl together on Sunday night. Then we'll probably play golf again on Monday, and then we leave on Tuesday. So that's a pretty good weekend.
Nice.
And when you watch the Super Bowl on Sunday night, who's winning it?
You know, I never thought that Tampa Bay was going to beat Green Bay. I thought it was going to be Green Bay and Kansas City. But you know, they proved me wrong, and I hadn't really watched their defense play that much this year. But they're for real, and they are solid. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game, and you know, I really don't. I think it's a toss-up. I think it'd be tough to get. But if you push me to the wall,
Can't ride the fence.
Said, you got to say Tampa Bay. You got to say Kansas City. Who you going to take? I'm going to take Kansas City, just because they were there last year. So this is not a new experience for them. Despite the fact that Tampa Bay has a huge hometown advantage, playing in their own stadium for the first time in the history of the league, a team does that. I still think that it's Kansas City's to lose.
And then last thing, Steve, if I could snap my fingers and you were to become today the president of the United States, would you want that responsibility?
Ooh.
Yes. I think I would do. To answer your question, yes, I would take that responsibility. And it's a real high, obviously the highest calling you could ever imagine. But I also think that I could bring a modicum of peace to the Congress that we desperately need.
Excellent answer, sir. Appreciate your insight, and have fun golfing this week, too.
Yeah, have a good time, man.
I'm going to have a blast.
We will catch up with you again down the road. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.